Math 50, section 7.6. I broke this up into two sections. The first section was simple interest. In simple interest, we used interest equals principal times rate times time. And your simple interest only depended on the principal amount only. But there's another interest formula, and that's compounding interest. And we use the formula A equals P times 1 plus R over N raised to the N times T power. So you use this formula when you're compounding interest. That's when you're earning interest on the interest. So this ends up being results in a little bit more money paying or earning, depending on if you're borrowing or lending. So in this problem, we're gonna use the formula A equals P times 1 plus R over N to the NT power because we're compounding interest. So look for the word compound interest to use this formula. Look for simple interest for this formula. So P stands for, again, the principal amount. You always use the number 1 plus R. R is your rate, and the rate has to be in decimal form. N, these two N's are the number of times a year you're compounding interest, and we're going to talk about that in a second. T is always time in years. Okay, so what is N? N, if it's compounding annually, N will be 1. If it's semi or biannual, N would be 2. If it's quarterly, N will be 4. If it's monthly, N is 12. They could even say it's compounded 3 times a year or 5 times a year, or it can say daily. Daily, there would be 365. Okay, those are what you need to know. So in the first example, it's asking you for to compound interest. $1,800 is invested at 2%, and it's compounded annually. So the word compounded makes you use this formula. 1 plus R over N and N to the T power. So you have to know how to use this formula. So the amount that you're going to use for principal is $1,800. The interest rate is 2%, so 0.02, and it's compounding 1 time a year. So this would be 1 times for 3 years. So you have 1,800 times 1 plus 0.02 over 1 is 0.02, and 1 times 3 is 3. If you add these two, you get 1.02. You're going to first raise that to the third power. So always do order of operations first. Divide, add, raise it to the power, then take that 1.02 times to the third power and multiply it by 1,800, and you get 191017. So here is the total amount that you are going to earn after 3 years if you invest $1,800 at 2% for 3 years, compounded annually, once a year. Okay, last problem. So $4,000 is invested at 5.3% compounded quarterly. So that's 4 times a year for 10 years. So A, start with this formula because it's compounding. So 4,000, it's our principal amount. 1 plus the interest rate is 5.3%. So like in section 7.1, move the decimal 2 places to the left. So 5.3% is 0.053. You have to know how to do that. 0.053. Now it says we're compounding quarterly, so N would be 4 times a year. So N would be 4, and we want to know for 10 years. So how do you do this problem? First, divide. Always start here. 0.053 divided by 4 is 0.01325. Add 1 to that. Then raise that number to the 40th power, and then multiply that by 4,000. And we should get $6,772.12, which that's what we got here. So make sure you do the order correctly. Again, I'll go over it. Turn the percent to a decimal. Divide that by the number of times you're compounding interest per year. Add 1 to that number. Make sure you keep hitting enter, enter. Raise that to the 40th power, and then enter, and then multiply that by 4,000.